Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about checking solutions. By the end of this video, you should be able to determine if a given value is a solution to an equation or an inequality, and to solve simple equations. Let's take a look at that first objective, which asks us to determine if a given value is a solution to an equation or inequality. In order to better understand this first objective, we need to look at a few vocabulary words. The first vocabulary word is substitution. Substitution in math simply means to replace a variable with a number. For example, substitute 3 in for y in the following expression, y plus 2. In order to do this, we would exchange the y for 3, giving us 3 plus 2. Notice the directions did not ask us to evaluate the expression, just to substitute, which I did. I changed the y into a 3. Now I'm done. To evaluate an expression. To find the numerical value of an expression, i.e. finding a number. So if we were asked to evaluate the expression 3 plus 2, you would be finding the number that that expression was equal to. In this case, 5. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. Substitute 2 in for x and then evaluate the following expression. So what we would do is we would change the x into a 2, giving us 3 times 2 minus 5. That was the substitute part of the instruction. The next part asks us to evaluate the following expression. So I'm going to evaluate 3 times 2 minus 5, giving me 6 minus 5, which is 1. Another way we can word this type of problem is to be asked to evaluate an expression given a value for the variable. So evaluate the following expression if y equals negative 2. Let's take a look at it. We're going to use substitution to change y into negative 2, because it says y equals negative 2. So 2 minus 4y will be equal to 2 minus 4 times negative 2. Then we're going to evaluate the expression, giving us 2 minus 4 times negative 2 gives us plus 8, which is 10. We're on to our last vocabulary word of the first objective, which is a solution of an equation. A solution of an equation is a value that, when substituted in for the variable in the equation, makes the equation a true statement. So is x equals 4 a solution to 3x equals 12? To determine if x equals 4 is a solution, what we're going to do is we're going to substitute 4 in for x. So it's going to leave us with 3 times 4 equal to 12. 3 times 4 is 12 equal to 12, which is a true statement. So let's go back to our definition. A value that. So our value was 4. We substituted 4 in for the variable x, and it gave us a true statement. So, yes, since we were left with the true statement at the end, after substituting 4 in for x, that means that, yes, 4 is a solution. Let's take a look at the second example. Is 4 a solution to 3 over 3 minus y equals to 3? Notice in this example, we were not told that y equals 4. If you only have one variable in your expression or equation, it is assumed that the value you're given goes in for that variable. In other words, y will become 4. Let's take a look. 3 over 3 minus 4 equal to 3. Evaluating that further, notice we can't do anything to the right-hand side of the equation, the 3, but we can evaluate the left-hand side. Evaluating the left-hand side, we're left with 3 over 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. 3 over negative 1 is negative 3. And notice, we're left with negative 3 equal to 3, which is not a true statement. So is 4 a solution? The answer is no. 4 is not a solution to that equation. I have several more examples for you to work. However, before we do that, let's look at that first one, which says, is b equals negative 1 a solution to b minus 3 is greater than negative 5? Notice in this one, we're not given an equation, but rather an inequality. It works the exact same way. We're going to substitute negative 1 in for b, giving us negative 1 minus 3, and it has to be greater than negative 5. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. Since negative 4 is bigger than negative 5, the answer to the question would be yes. b equals negative 1 is a solution. Why? Because it left us with a true statement at the end. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two examples out on your own. When you're ready to see the answer, go ahead and press play. I've started working the first example for you, and I was left with 2 is less than 2. 2 is not less than 2, so the answer to this question would be no. The second example is identical, except we're going to be left with 2 is less than or equal to 2, after substituting 7 in for x. Since 2 is equal to 2, not less than, that's okay. The answer is yes, because 2 is less than or equal to 2. We're on to our last objective, which is going to ask us to solve an equation. To solve an equation means that you're going to be finding the values that make the equation a true statement when substituted in for the variable. So let's look at the first example. 3 times x equals 6. We need to find the value that when put in for x makes 3x equal 6. So we ask ourselves the question, 3 times what number equals 6? The answer is 2, so x equals 2 is the solution, because 3 times 2 equals 6. What about a divided by 12 equals 4? What is the solution to that equation? The answer is 48. A equals 48 because 48 divided by 12 is 4. Let's look at that last example. 3 minus what number equals 1? The answer is 2, because 3 minus 2 equals 1, so p is equal to 2. These last 3 examples are a little bit more challenging. I'd like you to try those on your own. Please press pause, work those problems out. When you're ready to see the answers, please press play. For the first one, you should have gotten q is equal to negative 1, because negative 1 plus 13 is 12. For the second one, you should have gotten c equal to 0, because 0 over 1,000 is equal to 0. For the third example, 2 to some number equals 8, you should have gotten 3, because 2 to the third power is 8.